morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Coach Tiffany Parra, Editor-in-Chief of Phoenix Fitness Fanatics Magazine, elevating your mind, body, and spirit. Happy Mental Monday, y'all. Man, we have an amazing topic today for Mental Monday. We have some awesome contributing writers that are going to come take center stage here on the Own It magazine and publishing platform for Phoenix Fitness Fanatics Magazine. So let me go ahead and bring them on in. Hey, good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning.
Hey, Teresa Palmer. Good morning, Teresa.
Good morning, afternoon, evening.
And we've got Dr. Jeffrey Berger in the house.
Hello, all. Happy Monday.
And we also have Miss Felicia in the house as well. Coach Felicia.
Hey, Grand Rising.
And we got one more in the house. One more. We have Miss Audrey Link in the house as well. We got a full house today. Welcome, Audrey. I am so excited to have everybody in the house today to talk about this navigating the digital world without losing ourselves, right? Because there's so much craziness going on out there. I mean, we've got AI that you might be talking to and you think that they're the real person, or it's just wild. So, and even just conversations and, people being affected by the likes that they get and things like that. I mean, it is just crazy. So I am so excited to just dive into this conversation with you all today. So real quickly, just let me go around the room real quick. For those that have not met you all before, we're going to just start with you, Steph. Tell everyone who you are, where you're from, and just a little bit about what you do in your business.
Yep, my name is Stephanie Malink. My company, I'm actually rebranding into Malink Publishing, that has two different arms, Right by Steph and the Collinsville Daily News. And I am a digital newspaper publisher, and then I also write blogs, internet articles, resumes, all kinds of business documents for businesses and individuals. And then I also edit college papers and dissertations. So I am in the digital realm 48 hours a day, 10 days a week.
Awesome. Thanks, Steph. Welcome. All right, we're going to go to you, Teresa.
Hi, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Teresa Palmer, and I am a nurse practitioner, or advanced practice nurse, as it's called. And my expertise is holistic cardiology. And I too am in the process of rebranding myself, doing more private consultations, as I worked in a cardiology practice and hospital setting for over 30 years. So that's kind of changing now. I'm more going out on my own. So that's who I am.
That's awesome. Thanks, Teresa. All right, Dr. Berger.
Okay, thank you so much. First, that's a nice calendar, Stephanie. 48 hours a day and 10 days a week. Wow. So I'm Dr. Jeffrey E. Berger. I am the CEO and founder of Abundance and Optimum Wellness. And as a certified holistic coach today, I'm really taking a finance-first approach to achieving all-encompassing personal well-being by embracing new ways to true wealth in the modern world. And I am a global ambassador for a very unique, innovative company that is revolutionizing the future in technologies. We talk about AI, but these technologies on the blockchain are real estate, financial, education, AI, and the metaverse, just to list a few. And I'm really deeply committed to empowering individuals and communities worldwide to embrace these technologies that are being developed today that are going to be changing the way we do things in the future, 3 to 5 to 10 years down the road.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Berger. All right, Felicia.
Hello. My name is Felicia Pelto, founder of Free as a Feather LLC. I am your weight loss and hormone health coach, helping women to release the shame, guilt, and frustration around weight loss and balancing their hormones, to develop self-reliance and emotional regulation and self-compassion so that they can lose weight, balance their hormones easily, and feel free as a feather. So that's where I'm at.
Felicia. And Audrey.
Well, hello today and tonight and whatever. Yeah, my name is Audrey Ling. I am a certified aromatherapist, wellness advocate for health and just overall health. I have helped all the way from broken bones to kidney stones and everything in between. And so I am trying to get people off the digital world a little bit and into themselves to help learn who they are inside. So that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome. So as you guys see, we got an awesome panel here today. And again, we're going to talk about just navigating this digital world and just not losing ourselves, because there are a lot of people out there that are losing themselves. And there's a lot of bad stuff that's going on, as well as some people are losing themselves. So, social media, it can be very, very inspiring, right? I know I go on there after doing my whole morning ritual, and I like to, I think my algorithm, it's always filled with, happy, good stuff, just because that's what I look at. But it also can be really toxic, right? I mean, people going on there, you got, families fighting, over, a comment or, a picture that was put up, or, just a lot of negativity. How can people protect their mental health when it comes to them navigating online? We're going to start with you, Steph. Oh, you're muted.
Okay, there we go. The main thing that I feel like people, like you said, try to focus on the good. I know it's hard. I am someone that when I post good, I get no likes, comments, or shares. But as soon as I go off on a tangent or have a tirade or something, everyone sees the post. It's very frustrating. Social media is doing its reward system backwards, I feel like. It is toxic in the sense that, yes, absolutely. Like I said in my intro, I'm a newspaper publisher. I am publishing local news. It's election season. I am completely getting trashed 24/7. I'm being compared to national media outlets that are biased, even though I'm a local independent. It's to the point right now where I won't get on social media if I can avoid it, except for when I have to be on it for working. It's not enjoyable anymore. Yeah. Getting screenshots sent to me of people attacking me so that people know, so I'm not blindsided by things. It's a 24/7 thing. Don't be afraid to block people as far as your mental health goes. That's the big thing. I've started blocking a lot of people, not only on social media, but I'm blocking their phone numbers too, because no one needs multiple ways to get a hold of me anymore. I've decided if you've got my phone, email, and social media, chances are you're going to be cut to just one of those. So.
I love that. Block people, because look, we have the choice in who we communicate with, right? So if we're feeling that it's toxic, block it, right? I love that stuff. All right, I'm gonna go, Teresa.
Hey, with regard to social media, there's good points. It helps a lot with a lot of different things to get information out there. But the bad part is that we depend on it and we lose ourselves in the process. So everything centers around how many followers do you have? How many likes did you get? How many dislikes did you get? I don't really bother with any of those things. I try to be as engaging as I can, give people information that they need. The sad part is that when I do work, I see a lot of patients that believe a lot of the things on social media, especially when it comes to medical stuff and especially when it comes to weight loss. And they'll see these ads or they'll see these things and they want it because they believe it's going to work. And when you try to educate people, in all honesty, they don't want to hear it. So really what they need to do is go ahead, do what they want to do. It's kind of like hitting rock bottom. You can't help somebody that doesn't want to be helped. They have to hit rock bottom, get sick, or figure out that they spent $200 and didn't lose any weight. And then at that point, they're open to education. But I think that it's that whole everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to be a star. And I think that with social media, we're told that we could be. We're told that everybody could be successful, but then what is success? Is success the number of followers you have? Is success doing things and getting engaged with things and spending money that perhaps either you don't have or could be used for something else? When in the long run, whether it be your professional life, a business, or a personal life, that really it's not getting you any place. But you want to believe that it is, so you keep doing it, thinking that eventually that magic is going to hit. And same thing with plastic surgery. Everybody wants to look like everybody else. So you've got 20-year-olds looking at pictures of these very thin models, which it's just all enhanced.
Right.
And they don't understand that. So they think everybody out there who's successful has a perfect body and they don't. And then that leads to mental health issues. In some cases, it could be so bad that it could even lead people to deep depression and suicide. Because social media tells us we have to be a certain way. And if we don't fit that image, then we're nobodies. And that's not true. So it all goes back to, again, knowing yourself, being comfortable with yourself, and being discerning. Looking at some of the things on social media. Okay, there it is. Fine. Let me move on. And not wasting your whole day on social media.
Yeah,
That's my take on it.
absolutely. And I love it. I mean, it's not about how many followers. And honestly, if you can impact one person in something that you put out there, that I think is impactful all in itself, right? So thank you, Teresa. So Dr. Jeffrey, how can people protect themselves and their mental health online?
We are definitely in a massive paradigm shift in many, many ways, especially with social media. And I've been really taking a strong look at this in 2025, reflecting on 2024. But what I'm doing is now cultivating a conscious digital digest. So just as we nourish our bodies with healthy food, we must nourish our minds with healthy content. So I'm really curating my social media needs intentionally to really look at, and Teresa said block or unfollow accounts, or no, maybe it was Stephanie. So I've been blocking and unfollowing accounts that trigger negativity or anxiety. I seek out the content that inspires or educates and uplifts me. And then remember that you have the power to control what you consume, and your mental well-being is paramount especially when it comes to social media, because there is just so much negativity, hate, and disgust on these platforms that don't seem to be being filtered out by the by the social media companies. They're letting it come through. So those are my nuggets about cultivating a conscious digital diet.
Yeah. And you can change it. Again, like we were talking about, it's like you can change that algorithm. It's all in what you click on and what you choose to look at, and that it's going to give you more of that, right? So thank you, Jeffrey. All right, Felicia, what's your take on it?
I guess I agree with the sentiments that Stephanie was kind of explaining, because, like her, I've been, and I know I've been doing this health coach thing for a good decade now. And, when I share uplifting educational stuff, it gets rarely the response than if, I shared something that was like drama filled and, scandalous and, and that kind of stuff that really like evokes the nasty, I guess I would say, in us. Even just recently, I was on a public post, and we know that there's this whole DEI controversy, right? And I just shared an image that said the difference of equity versus equality, and said, to someone that was very focused on equity. I said, you know, how would you feel if you were the person in the wheelchair? And I genuinely wanted their opinion, but they spat back at me and was like, F you, you don't know me, da da da. And I'm like, I was trying to just have a healthy dialogue. Like, I genuinely was wondering what your thoughts on that were and why. But I said, you know, I retract myself now. I'm no longer going to engage with you because clearly you don't want to have a healthy conversation about this. And, you know, and then of course they kept like spitting other stuff. And I said, please respect the fact that I said I'm disengaging. Because, you know, and they said, I said, because you're not being respectful. And they said, I'm being respectful. What do you mean? I said, I didn't grow up learning that telling someone F you off the rip was a form of respect. If that's the case, you know, it verifies again that that's not the kind of conversation I want to engage with. And, you know, so I even felt like, you know, in that moment, one, it just kind of verified how like sometimes people go into it just in an unhealthy mindset to begin with. So you don't even realize that you're kind of like sometimes amongst just unhealthy people. And then you have to sometimes take the fallout of whatever that is, just even if, you know, you're being genuinely kind. So I agree, you know, with Stephanie, it's just really like, you know, monitor what you engage with, block who you don't want to have contact with. Because I did dig into looking who that, because the reason I saw that person was because we were mutual friends, you know, right? That connected us. So then that made me think of like, oh God, that's the kind of person this person connects with. And, you know, so it really made me start thinking about my network at that point. Like, I should be able to have a conversation with a friend of a friend, right? And them not attack me for just asking a genuine question. It wasn't even like a personal attack. It was, well, how would you feel? Like, I just wanted to know. I cared emotionally. And so, you know, yeah, it's like, just be ready on some level to know that you're entering a minefield, especially if it's with someone you don't directly have a contact or relationship with.
Right, absolutely. And again, it's all in our reaction, right? And I'm so, you know, glad that you reacted the way you did, you know, and kept your calm, because there are others that, you know, that could have happened to, and they would have just started a, you know, just an all out, you know, online, you know, brawl, you know, in a sense, right? Just going back and forth.
Exactly.
All that's gonna
And
do
I
is
felt
just
like it was a good example too of just appropriate conduct, but it was funny because I don't know if she or the other person or the person had the post. Eventually it was all deleted. But I took screenshots and I did end up posting it on my own, just being like, this is unfortunate that, you know, we can't have this. And that's where I got the most response, as Stephanie mentioned, right? Like when I was like, here's my screenshots of this horrible conversation, then everyone was like, oh yeah, that's horrible. And how dare they? And da, da, da. And I'm like, but if I was like, hey, how's everyone doing on their water intake today? You know, nobody wants to respond to that.
Wow. Thank you, Felicia. Audrey, what's your take on this?
Well, I kind of look at social media is if I would say that in person, right? If I was face to face with somebody, would I say that in person? And not that I haven't said some things on social media back in the days when we were all fighting. But I now think of it as like, well, would I say that to someone's face? Right? It's so easy to sit here behind the computer and go, you know, hey, you are a effing whatever, right? It's easy. But would I say that to your face?
Right.
Would I be right there and say, because that would be so embarrassing, right? That would be so, well, it wouldn't feel good, you know, because I wouldn't say that to someone's face. For sure. So for my rule of thumb is I now make sure I just say, you know, positive things. Not that I don't air my concerns, because I do thoughts on dog walks and I air my concerns, but I do try and make it, you know, thought provoking. Yeah. Ask the questions in a way that just makes people think, oh, well, yeah, what about that? Right. And for me, it's just trying to protect my own mental health. Would I say that in front of somebody else? you know, so that way if they say it in front of me, I can go, really? You know, yeah. So that's kind of on that.
No, I love that. Would you do that in front of that person? I mean, honestly, yes, I love that. Good stuff, everybody. So we're going to cut to a quick commercial break. And those of you that are tuning in, if you are just loving the topic, you are loving what you're hearing, get out there and share while we take this break. And if you're watching the replay, share as well. Go ahead and share out to your network so they too can really get educated on this amazing topic of navigating this digital world without losing ourselves and losing our mental health. So we will be right back, everybody. And we are back. That's such a fun commercial. Big ups to Michelle Mupo and Mupo Entertainment. Makes me, right, Jeffrey? Just makes you want to dance. So just have fun with it. So today we are talking about navigating through just this whole social media, just web, just online, and just being out there. So we just were talking about just how people can protect their mental health online. Now we're going to get into what are some of the warning signs that social media is negatively, impacting someone's mindset. What's something that we look at? I mean, because we look at this, especially in our kids, right? Especially a lot of our kids. I know I saw it in, my son growing up, especially as he went through his teens. He's now, 20, but I could see, especially during COVID, I saw a lot of negative impact on his mindset, especially because they spent all day online, right? They had really no break. And, I tried my best to try to pull him away from it, but of course they really didn't have anything else to do, as well as ourselves. So what are some of the warning signs that social media is negatively impacting someone's mindset, Steph?
Oh gosh, one of the things that I see the most is people that do absolutely nothing but comment on the same thread. Like literally, they're not closing their window. They're not going to any other pages or anything. They're constantly just jabbing on the same post. And it hurts other people. I know several people that have either dropped out of races because they were attacked here during the political season, or they're starting to have heart problems or other issues because it's brutal. I mean, the sticks and stones don't may break my bones, but words won't hurt me. That is the most false thing that I have ever heard at all. Take a step back. If all you're doing is complaining at the same group of people all the time, you might have a mental health issue. You might be either racist, sexist, ableist, something that is making you constantly attack the same group of people.
No, at that point, it's like you can go get some help, right? Go talk to someone. So yeah, thank you, Steph. Teresa, what are your thoughts on this? What are some of the warning signs? That if someone's
fear and anxiety. I think fear and anxiety, that people get very fearful, they get very anxious, and we saw that in 2020. And I think to some extent we're still seeing that, where people get so enmeshed in social media. I think it's what's that phrase that says, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. I think that's how it goes. We really have to understand that when you go on social media, a lot of times it's just entertainment. and we lose ourselves in it to the point where we don't know who we are. And I think as we mature into adolescence, we lose that ability to know who we are because we become socially conditioned to look outside ourselves for everything. And social media is one of those things that we look outside ourselves. Yeah, we want to be popular. If somebody says something on social media, it's like, who cares? Once we engage in it, then we've lost ourselves at that point because now the whole thing is getting in there, trying to prove you're right, trying to do this, trying to do that, when in the long run, it's all really meaningless. So I think, especially with young people, they need to limit, and adults, they need to limit their time on social media and realize that everything you're seeing and hearing on social media isn't really what it is. I mean, there's just a lot of enhancement, whether it be AI, whether it be cropping things, whether it be what does they call that? Photoshopping things, that a lot of times even the person that you're looking at or listening to probably doesn't really exist. So even when you're firing back a lot of these negative comments, you're talking to nobody. And the other thing is, it's really not about us. It's really not about the individual. It's
Right.
about looking at what you see, what you hear, using your own discretion, and just having a thicker skin. Because unfortunately, nowadays, you need a thick skin. It's hard to get through the world. If you are an empath, and you have very, very thin skin, there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to know how to protect yourself. So I think that, we step into these things, we think it's all about us. It's not about us. I couldn't care less what people say about me. If I could give them information that helps and they could resonate with it, that's fine. I don't engage in any of those. This one said this, and that one said that, and this one said this, and this is what's going on, because to me, it's just meaningless. And I think it becomes an excuse for really spending time with ourselves, for really getting to know ourselves. Because we could always say, well, I'm too busy with LinkedIn, I'm too busy with Instagram, I'm too busy with this, to really pay attention to myself. I think we've got to look more at ourselves and less at what's going on out there. But if you're getting anxious and fearful, that's a huge red flag. And at that point, just turn off social media.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to. I notice that some people will just take a hiatus, right? And they'll go off for like a month, and that's okay. That is absolutely okay to take a break from social media. I mean, even if your business is on there, your business is not going to tank because you took a little bit of a social media break, right? So, Dr. Jeffrey, what are your thoughts?
So I've have two warning signs that about social media having a negative impact on my mindset, especially. So I'm going to share what I've basically learned over the years, and a lot of this happened when I was exploring holistic options back in 2018 and 2019, because I was constantly stressed, anxious, and depressed at like a 10 plus level. And now I'm at a level 1, knowing what I know today. But the two things are increased anxiety, and Teresa talked about anxiety, but also diminished self worth. And so I did find that I was comparing myself, with other people online, and those are the two red flags for me. So as you're scrolling, does a sense of inadequacy really creep in while you're online? And then do you feel this growing anxiety about missing out, or a need to constantly validate yourself through the likes and comments? Either Stephanie or Teresa mentioned about how many likes do you have, how many comments are people responding to. But the big thing to do is remember that true worth comes from within, and not from a digital echo chamber. And that's what I find, that social media is really an echo chamber. in that respect in many, many ways. And then the other thing for me is that I have now I've turned off notifications. On my phone, I have everything turned off because it's ding, 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 and then it's like who's messaging me, who's doing this and who's doing that, both on my phone and on my computer. So it lessens the distraction, and because then you're again fear of missing out. It's like, well, no, they can wait. I can respond to that later, or I may not respond to it because it has nothing to do with what I want to respond to. So those are some of the two warning signs for me: is increased anxiety and diminished self-worth, which basically has been almost eliminated. Yeah, I still get anxious, but I know how to manage it now. I reflect on it. I take a step back versus react to it. And then the same thing with diminished self-worth, because I grew up having a lot of negative thoughts in my head about myself and who I am and what I was doing. So that's all changed.
Wow, awesome. Again, put it on do not disturb. Put it on do not disturb. You're not missing anything. And if it's an emergency, someone will get in touch with you. They will know how to get in touch with you. They'll figure out those old ways that we used to get in touch with each other, right? Actually going to the front door, maybe. Right? Felicia, what's your take on this? The warning signs that it's negatively impacting someone's mindset.
One that came up for me was productivity and, how far you've gotten on your goals. But also then too, it's like the question of how many people make goals these days, right? But sometimes, I agree with Teresa, pretty much everyone's sentiments when they talk about, anxiety, self-comparison. Definitely those are things to consider. But I also still see some value in that too, because sometimes that can be the reminder of like, if you are thinking like, oh, I wish I had that, like, okay, well, how far are you on those goals of working on that? And do you want that version of that? So I think of it a little bit more like, kind of like, oh, I love that for them. And do I, would I even want that? Like, because I know that on some level societally, as I feel like Jeffrey was alluding to, that we're kind of being told what we want a lot of times, right? Like, oh, you should have this, you should have that. This is the American dream, right? The house and the white picket fence and the kid and the husband or the wife and da, 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 da. And you can have all those things and still be dissatisfied, right? Because maybe you didn't pay attention to the quality of those things versus just the accumulation of those things, or the checklists, that artificial checklist you have that you made from, unfortunately, social media or social pressures, without really like tuning into yourself to go, do I even want this? Does this feel good to me? Does that make sense? Do I aspire to that? Because I've also seen, like, for example, in Threads, a group of ladies who have been very much like, I don't want kids and I won't have kids, and I'm a mother, but I love them voicing that for themselves and knowing why. And, that kind of stuff. So I guess I think of it a little differently when I'm looking at it.
Oh, you muted. You muted.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yep, there you
go. But being aware that it is a highlight reel. But I'm one of those that I think I'm also looking intentionally now, right? Looking for some of those more authentic conversations, more meaningful conversations in the people that are seeking those. So I'm starting to find that as we all kind of are putting that out there, we're starting to find each other, which is really great.
That's awesome. Thanks, Felicia. Audrey, your thoughts on those warning signs?
Yeah. So I remember when Felicia was talking about, that guy that was, saying the FUs and all of that. I feel it's anger. Anger is one of the warning signs online that there is a mental issue happening, because you're engaging with really nothing. If Felicia and I are having a conversation, even here, I'm still not going to say F you. We still hide behind just the words, right? and just the comments. And we're not face to face. And I feel that that's kind of another warning sign is people aren't face to face anymore. This is a bit more face to face because you're doing a Zoom or a StreamYard, but it's the disengagement from being in front of somebody and actually having a conversation with them. So for me, the warning signs are anger and then disengaging, just saying, you're not worth it kind of thing. Right. And it's more looking at why. So if I get angry at a post, is why am I angry at this post? What is it triggering in me that I am angry? So a lot of it, that anger and the disengagement and all of that would be bringing it back to personal development, right?
Yeah.
Who am I inside here that is triggering me? So that's kind of my warning signs is the anger and then the disengagement.
Yeah. And there is a lot of anger and disengagement right now as well. So thank you, Audrey. So how can we stop comparing our lives to others and focus on our own journey? Like we each and every one, you kind of touched on this a little bit, and it's that imposter syndrome, right? It's looking at people, it's comparing ourselves, all those types of things. How can we stop, comparing our lives to others and really focus? So Steph, how can we start focusing more on our own journey? Oh, you're muted.
Wow. Maybe I shouldn't have done this today. My brain is not here with us. I try to do find positive quote pages, cat pages, just different things like that to distract myself. Are we on 3 or 4 now that I'm thinking about it?
What's that? Oh, we're on 3.
We're on 3. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, just use other people's posts as a barometer of, oh, they've done this, so I can do it too, especially weight loss journey groups and things like that. Books, groups about reading books, having a book club. Focus on those kinds of groups. And then that way you're using what you read to better yourself.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Teresa, how can we stop comparing our lives to others and focus on our own journey?
Well, I think number one, it comes back to knowing ourselves, knowing that we're the priority. It's not to say you don't help other people or care for other people, but you have to care for yourself first. And it's like the airline industry, put your own oxygen mask on, and only then can you offer help to others. And I think that's really a big thing. The second thing is that I think that when it comes to social media, that we just have to look at it as entertainment or look at it as, okay, I'm going to post this because I feel it's important for other people to know, and just leave it at that. It all comes back to nobody has the perfect life. I mean, there was a point where everybody wanted to be a Kardashian. No, now nobody wants to be a Kardashian. So there's just fads. And when you realize that people don't have a perfect life, sometimes you look at things and you think, oh, I wish I could do that, or I wish that I could have that, or have those looks, or have that body. But then you realize that there's other things that go on in people's lives that you don't know about, because nobody's going to say that on the social media. So again, I think it all comes back to us knowing ourselves, being true to ourselves, and having a thick skin that if somebody doesn't like what you post on social media, the heck with them. I mean, really, who the heck cares? Not getting that engagement and that tug of war. Because once you start engaging with things, you really become no better than they are. Because now you've gotten down to that level. And knowing that half of what you see and none of what you hear, we don't really know what's true. because all we know is what somebody or a group of people is telling us. So it's important to really use our own discretion and go by our own barometer. How do you feel when you hear that? Do you feel that it's true? Do you feel that it's something that resonates with you? If you don't like something, don't even take it any further. So I think we have to look at social media as a tool that could help us, but at the same time, it's not us. And we really just have to work with ourselves, do our own inner work, be comfortable with who we are. And then it doesn't matter what people say on the internet because it just bounces off of you. If you don't engage with it, the best way to do something is to ignore what's being done. You see something going on that you don't like, unless you could really do something to change that situation, which 9 times out of 10 on social media you can't, you just ignore it. It's like somebody ranting and raving. If you engage them, they rant and rave more. If you ignore them when nobody's listening to them, eventually they stop.
That's right.
So that is my take on protecting ourselves on social media.
Yes, love that, Teresa. Thank you. Dr. Jeffrey.
Well, first, recognize that social media really presents mostly curated realities and not authentic lives. And that's happening more and more today. So, we often see these highlighted reels, but not the struggles and the complexities behind them to achieving it. So you have to really assess what value they're trying to bring. And instead of, focusing on that, focus more on your internal scorecard, because we all keep our own scorecard. And we define success by our own personal growth, our own values, and that really have a meaningful impact that make us grow from that. And Felicia did talk about goals, and same thing with the internal scorecard. But this shifts from external validation to internal fulfillment, because you're really fulfilling yourself from an internal perspective. To me, is the cornerstone of a purposeful journey.
I love that, Jeffrey. I love that, Dr. Jeffrey. Wow, man. Felicia, what is your take on how we can stop comparing our lives to others and focus on our own journey? This is our journey, really, not anybody else's.
I guess I think about like kind of going back to what Stephanie was saying a little bit in terms of like controlling that journey with social media by going to the things that are relevant to you. If weight loss is that thing, find that group of people for inspiration. Because just even as a personal example, after having my little one and having a C-section, talking amongst the women close to me, whether that was my in-laws and, just older women, they were all trying to convince me that like, oh yeah, you're going to have that mom pouch forever now. Like just kind of trying to make me accept certain realities. And I'm just like, I don't agree with that. If demon, I rebuke you, because I don't accept that. Like, so I intentionally went and found, and I know I mentioned her in another podcast, and I still seem to have not remembered her name, but she was a big athlete for Nike, and her contract got rescinded when they found that she was pregnant, and it was during COVID. And she wears all of her medals and shows her C-section scar, and as an athlete, and I posted that for myself when I saw it, because I was like, that's the reality I want to be, because it's, I know I don't have to be like an athlete in order to get that, but I do just need to take care of myself. And so I guess that's my thing, is like, think about your own goals first and then use these tools to help encourage and self manipulate right into reaching those goals. And so then you're no longer really comparing yourself so much, but aspiring to those things that truly matter. And then when you come across something that you're like, oh, I like that, or that looks cool, you can reflect internally again on, do I want that? Does that make sense for me? Because, as we all have probably said it's a highlight reel. And when you're comparing sometimes yourself to celebrities, I know Teresa said like the Kardashians, well, they got access to stuff that we ain't got access to, you know. They've got, I think if we all want to be Kardashians, it's in the wealth part, like the financial prosperity aspect, but not really like the get myself cut up and cosmetically changed for everyone's approval aspect. So, you know, that's where it's like, you know, sure, I aspire to that, but do I like the way she does it? No, I don't want to be on TV. I don't want to, you know. So, you know, it's really your own barometer on your goals first, and then syncing that stuff to your goals.
Thanks, Felicia. Right, Audrey.
Well, for me, I'm starting a podcast that's called Messy Me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just me being real with what's going on. And, you know, maybe having some guests on that, hey, we're going through this mess, because we all go through messes. And like, you know, everybody sees the good parts on social media, you know, oh, this is, you know, what's happening to me and I'm all made up. Well, that's not me. I am messy. My life is in certain areas is messy. And so, and everybody's got areas of their life that's messy, right? And we need the encouragement to go through that and know that we're not alone in that journey. So I also do just a little podcast in the morning, or not a podcast, just it's called Thoughts on Dog Walks. It's so short that it's just my thought for the day, right? And I always try and make it that, yeah, this is the crap I'm going through, but this is how I'm looking at it, and I'm trying to work through it, right? Because we all try and work through our messes, whatever that is, whether it's a decision that part of it isn't in your control, or so for me, I just focus on my journey, my mess, and how I can work on it as positively as I can. And as Felicia had said, you know, who makes goals nowadays?
Right.
That's the thing, right? Is I've been starting to make more and more goals. And these are like short, medium, and long-term goals. So there is goal sheets out there. Go get them and write out your goals, right? I want to lose, you know, inches, so many inches by whatever date. What are the obstacles that you're going to go through? What are the, what kind of resources do you need to go through these and get to your goal, right? Who do you need in your life? So looking here at all these people, like, I mean, I see you guys. I see you guys here in this. But I know for me, my journey is I want to know more people a little bit deeper, right? Connection. I've talked with, you know, Tiffany and Stephanie on more of a personal level, but I'd like to talk to more to the rest of you. You know, have a conversation and see how our journeys can possibly merge, and then we can impact the world a little bit better. So yeah, that's me in my life.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Good stuff, everybody. So we have talked about, you know, a few of the habits. Some of you have named, you know, talked about a few of the habits, you know, that you can recommend to just really be able to navigate this. So, you know, what are, you know, some mindful social media habits that you can personally recommend for people just to be able to, you know, make it a little bit easier on themselves as they're navigating through this crazy digital world and not trying to lose themselves? So, Steph.
Well, if you want to consider YouTube social media, I have a habit where every night when I go to bed, I turn on a YouTube channel that has sounds to it that are healing. I alternate between 432, 538, and right now I'm on like turbocharging 963 hertz sounds that I just, because you have to leave the tab open for it to keep playing, I turn on that video, and then I turn my phone over on my nightstand and leave it plugged in so that I've got those healing sounds. So that's kind of reviving me after everything that I've gone through during the day. That's my biggest mindfulness thing, just hearing the healing sounds and letting my body use its sleep for what it's meant to repair things.
Oh, and I love that. And I'm all about the frequencies. We're gonna have a show all about that as well. So thank you for that stuff. So Teresa, what are some mindful social media habits that you can recommend?
Number one, limit your time on social media. Set aside a certain time during the day, and not when you first wake up, because you need to be productive first and then look at other things. So find a time during the day when you could scroll through it. Anything that triggers you, ask yourself, why does it trigger you? Is it a belief that you have? Is it something that perhaps had happened? Don't engage in it, but look at it as a way to look at yourself. Why is a post about something triggering me? What is it about me that causes me to be upset with that? And that way you could kind of use it as your own therapist. Instead of engaging, you look at it and say, okay, let me think about this. Maybe there's a reason that X, Y, and Z triggers me. And then once you find that trigger, it no longer triggers you anymore. And it helps you yourself. So those are my suggestions, is really limit your time and set aside a certain amount of time, whether it be 10 minutes, whatever, to social media. Don't go scrolling all day long. Do your own productivity. So whether that be work, a business, anything personal, writing, do your own things first and then engage in the social media. And just know that everything you're seeing and hearing isn't always true. Things aren't always as they appear to be. And they say that in your car, images in your rear view mirror are not what they appear to be. So I think we need to use that also, that what we look at isn't necessarily true, and just concentrate on yourself instead of concentrating on social media.
Thank you, Teresa. Dr. Jeffrey.
Yeah, the three top for me is really cultivating intentional engagement. I found at one point I was not doing that. It was just constant, just respond. So cultivate intentional engagement. And then before I open up the app, I ask myself, am I seeking, connection, inspiration, or education? And then finally, consciously select the content that really aligns with your purpose. And I'm doing that more in 2025.
Yes, love it. Thank you. Felicia, and some mindful social habits.
I agree with Teresa. Don't make it first thing in the morning. There's all kinds of science that explains, blue light and all those lights with the technology and EMF, signatures and all that. I'd say even putting on a timer, now devices, even you can tell it to pay attention to your activity. And if it sees that it's social media, it'll even say, hey, you've reached your 10 minutes or you've reached your set time to get off. And I've done that for myself. Instagram really, I love it. I love it because I'll be scrolling or something and it's like, it's been 10 minutes, time to get off, and it'll kind of gray out the screen. And I'm like, okay, and it gives me the option to bypass, but I'm like, nope, I should stop because, again, there's also all that research about the dopamine hit, so it's like, find something else that is your dopamine, if you know that you get a rush from going to social media, find a rush somewhere else. Because that was actually a funny conversation, on topic still, but we were watching 1923 and, the early times of the US, and this guy was talking about how he could capitalize on skiing. And I forget what he was saying. It was like the euphoria of punity or something like that, but essentially the adrenaline rush, like capitalizing on the fact that people love adrenaline rushes. And it's funny because my husband and I talking about it, I was like, I don't know if it's a culture thing where I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not trying to slide down no hill with the fear of death in me. But there's other people who seem to get off on that kind of thing. So find whatever that is for you. That equivalent thing for me, not saying adrenaline, but good, feel good feelings for me are sometimes just spending time with good friends, talking to good friends for a period of time. And sometimes I think that's what social media, what it was originally intended to be, to keep us connected. But people have replaced that with their real connections. So if you're going to the screen and sometimes, it's, oh, let me check up on people. How about we just check up on people like we used to, as you alluded to earlier, Tiffany, give them a phone call, shoot them a text. I'm thinking about you. Schedule a time to get together and really be in each other's energy so you can see, smell, touch each other, because that's a different thing too. I think about, it might seem kind of funny, but my mom having passed away, I miss her smell, right? Like people just have certain scents that would bring you comfort. I know that that's a sense for my child right now, right? She knows what mommy smells like. So there is that aspect of using our senses beyond just our eyes with people to feel that sense of connection that does so much to us on a hormonal level, that can give us a sense of like stress relief and peace and comfort and nourishment that you just cannot get through that screen. You never will. So, I guess that's what I say. Replace the screen with the people you're trying to check up on.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Felicia. Audrey, what about you?
Well, I agree with everybody's for sure. Those are definitely amazing mindset habits. I love the don't do it in the morning. Also, not at night. Right? Pick a different routine, whether that is reading a book, physical book. There's nothing like reading a physical book compared to on the screen, and getting away from that blue light. And then have an agenda when you do go on social media, whether that is doing your business or checking up on your friends that you aren't close to, that you can't just go ding dong, at the door kind of thing. That way, you can pick up the phone and say hello kind of thing. And yeah, just try and focus in on what you want to do on social media. Have that plan before you go on. I know I don't sometimes, absolutely not. It's a work in progress for sure. And don't be too hard on yourself. Just go, oh, I noticed that. And then change the habit.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, look, just being connected. And I love what everyone has shared today. And, again, we have to just learn to, again, walk away from these screens, get connected with each other, and be in each other's energy, because we are all energetic beings. So we definitely need to be around each other. So to connect, just let's go around the room real quickly. Before we close up, Stephanie, how can anyone, if they want to connect with you and work with you, how can they connect and work with you? And then we'll go to Teresa. We'll go all the way around the room, and then we'll close up with you, Audrey.
My website is writebystuff.com. You can email me at writebystuff@gmail.com. I do have a YouTube channel that you can also, that is YouTube Write by Stuff, I think. If you just Google my name, you'll find it. And it has most of my previous live streams that I've done on there. And then I also have of course, we're talking about social media. I also have my Facebook page, Write by Stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, Teresa.
You could find me. My website is www.wellbeinggal.com, all one word, WELLBEINGGAL.com. I'm also on Instagram at well_being_gal. And just Teresa Palmer, you could find me on Facebook if you like. I'm also on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Thanks, Teresa. Dr. Jeffrey.
I have a website, jeffreyeberger.biz. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and X, and just look up Jeffrey E. Berger. All of my accounts are with that name, but sometimes there's a dot between it or no dot. So just look for the bald dude.
Thanks, Dr. Jeffrey. Felicia.
I'm on social media, of course. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook, Felicia Pelto, weight and hormone health coach. I also am on, or you can go to my website and actually apply to my 6-month hormonal harmony program at freeasafeather.com/apply.
Awesome. Thanks, Felicia. And Audrey, how can I connect with you?
Best way is in WhatsApp. My number is 780-202-0649. I also have a website. My name is on the screen with 2 E's and link.com. And you can find me, if you want to email me, it's audreylink67@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today to talk about this navigating the digital world without losing ourselves. This has just been such an amazing conversation. And if you all have enjoyed this awesome conversation, you definitely want to subscribe to Phoenix Fitness Fanatics magazine. Go to Phoenix Fitness Fanatics Mag 2021.com. You can get your subscription. And if you are someone that is in health and wellness, or you just have that passion and want to share how to get physically, mentally, spiritually, or financially fit, you definitely want to connect with me. You can just look up Coach Tiffany Parra and I got you. So have an amazing day. Happy Mental Monday. And we will definitely see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.